So if you're listening to these in order, you might notice that it seems like, well, actually they're recorded different times. So for instance, this is Chapter 4, and Chapter 3 I went ahead and just left from last year. So as I speak, it's 2013, and actually it's February 2013, and we have a great snow event. This is Blizzard Rocky coming through, so how ironic. One of the things that I want you to get used to is that if you see anything milky white, think of water that now is in its either liquid state, such as fog, like we're seeing here, or water that's in its solid state. Because we talked about how matter will interact with light. So in this case, the matter is water, and water in its liquid form, such as it's in clouds, will actually interact with light by scattering that light in all wavelengths, so it looks like milky white. So we'll be talking more about that later on. But one of the things you probably already are very familiar with is this thing called the hydrological cycle. And we talked about the different spheres. We have the geosphere, the atmosphere, the biosphere, all of that. And atmospheric sources of water would be evaporation. So an atmospheric source is basically getting water, in this case most likely from the geosphere into the atmosphere. So how do we get water from the geosphere into the atmosphere? Evaporation, right? There are other ways, and this is kind of a subtle thing, but we talked about how plants during photosynthesis actually take in carbon dioxide and they convert it to things that they need, and then they actually return oxygen gas. But another thing that plants do during their daily being plants is actually release water vapor into the atmosphere. So I think that's kind of neat. That's called transpiration. That would be another source of atmospheric water vapor in that case. So geospheric sources would be returning water vapor, most likely from the atmosphere to the geosphere. And if I were stomping, I would stomp on the ground. That's the geosphere. So how do we get water from the atmosphere to the geosphere? Precipitation, right? So then overall, well, actually on the next slide, you're going to see there's definitely movement within the geosphere. Including groundwater, runoff, that sort of thing. So all told, to me the big things are evaporation, okay, condensation, and we'll talk more about what condensing or condensation is. I bet you already know it's when water vapor turns into a liquid. Like evaporation, condensation, precipitation. So that's kind of what we call the hydrological cycle. So here's a figure from your textbook, and the numbers all add up. It's called the hydrological cycle. There is a great little video on my YouTube playlist of a little song that talks about the hydrological cycle. I hope you'll take the time to